Hello everyone, welcome to the SCG In-House Premium event. Today we are playing a match between two formidable players inside our premium testing server. It's been a great time. My name is Barry. My notable Vanguard achievement is going to Worlds. Got double sister, really cool. Fun fact about me, I play Grand Blue to a very average level. You can find me on Twitter at BarrySword or Honkai Impact with my code on Twitter. Let's move on though to my co-caster, the Frenchie Gurgit-san himself.
That's me. Hi everyone, I'm Romain, aka Gurgit-san. My most notable accomplishment for now has been going to Worlds, where I did absolutely terrible playing V. I got sacked, great time. One of my fun facts is that I am one of 6 gold paladin players in the entire world, and I've been playing this clan since 7 years. I am going insane. You can find me on socials at Gurgit-san.
Getting scrubbed out of Pearl Sisters, high five buddy. Let's go.
Let's go.
And with that, let's move on to our players today.
Our first player is Chang, one of the sexiest people I know. What do you think about that, Barry?
Oh, look at the mozzarella stick bowl. You can find him on Twitter at RanChangu. I believe now it actually is May_Changu.
Yes,
he hails from South California. Notable achievements. He rants on Twitter a lot, but he's done some good shit on Twitter. He's also the author of the original Deej Chronojet Primer and has a top in Buddy Fight in PCS 2018.
That's true. He's been in there forever. We can see that there's a Buddy Fight top in there. Do you have any info about a potential Vanguard top?
Well, you better catch them at ESF 2024 Vancouver.
As you can see here, Chang's main clan have been Gear Chronicle and Neo Nectar, but he's been dabbling in about everything, especially in D formats.
And let's see what our boy Chang is piloting today, shall we?
So as we can see, Chang has decided to bring today a very classic French Katrina list. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't have anything more to comment. It's very classic. Topped twice at Worlds from Yuan and Louis Bollinger. I just have one thing to say, and I blame the French for making it so that we can never have creative Decklist now for Neo Nectar. Neo Nectar is solved now. I mean, it's Katrina. I don't know what to say.
I mean, I guess at this point, it's in the clan's history, either being bad or having a solved Decklist.
We should see a Katrina opponent, the one who dares challenge the French today.
We can see our next challenger, Kenzio, aka at RS Cardfight Vanguard on Twitter. Kenzio is known for being the most invisible player ever. He's been seen once in the last 5 years. Apparently at Worlds, no one knows, no one saw him. Barry, what about his accomplishments?
Well, he's done a lot. He's topped multiple BSFs and BCSs, getting multiple first places with multiple different decks, because his main clan, the Critical Trigger.
The yellow one.
The yellow one. Why pick a main clan when you could just main the yellow card? I can't believe I share the same birthday as this man and Suisei. Get me the fuck out of here.
And surprisingly, he's the most successful one between the 3 of you.
Oh yeah, he's also Canadian.
Now, let's see what his decklist is. Here we can see that Kenzio brought his classical Highlander, which got him to get into a little Twitter feud with famous French player Louis and Johan. We can see that this Highlander list plays a lot of the new cards from Lyrical Booster 4 or the newly released Denial Griffin combo with the grade 2 and the grade 1 that we can see. The list is a pretty classical one at all of that, however, that there is not a lot of cards in this deck that's Soul Blast during battle phase, which would allow for the Ride Down.
Ride Down is actually a lot more crucial than some people may think, even with History Collection as a getting superior strats, because there are a lot of clans like his opponent right now, Katrina, and clans like Grand Blue, for example, where you'd rather go into their History Collection stride than go into their main stride, which is surprisingly a really strong component right now in this format.
Yeah, that's right, because as strong as these History Collection strides are, they may not be as oppressive as the regular strides in these clans, like for example, Redora, Obadiah, and Katrina. Let's go over to our players. As we can see here, they're setting up, getting ready. We can see their starters.
Okay, Chang is starting off first, riding the Flower Carpet. Really strong play. This probably signifies that there's going to be an Anelma in hand for that amazing plus combo.
Yep.
And then goes to Kenzio, riding the Pearl Sister Perla, I
Sister.
believe, which
Yes.
is a big hit into his deck's offense.
Big hit between his deck's killability, yes. And quite greatly reduces the aggro potential of it. Okay, which we can see that Kenzio chooses not to call anything.
It's the reindeer.
Exo
So no
reindeer.
need to...
Gives the damage to Chang. So that let's see if that damage pays off.
Chang does damage the ride fixer here, so that's
Yes. Ooh. Choosing
Okay.
to ride.
the ride fixer.
Okay.
The
Thinking about
ride
doing the
fixer skill, for people who don't know, is CB1, just call a plant token, give a 5k. Really strong
Yes.
Katrina overall. And the skill is being used to get that second attack, put on a little bit of pressure to the Highlander players.
Yeah. We can see a Asha grade 3 being checked, not the
And
V1, but the
really
G1.
important here, Sistico was damaged.
Damage, yes.
It's going to be a big rough spot for the Highlander player because they cannot cycle their grade 3s as good anymore.
Yes. Ooh, but we can see the Klasina being rode.
Strong ride, strong ride, strong ride. How
Very
is he so
strong
good?
ride. Let's see what Kenzio gets out of it.
I hope he sees 3 triggers.
You know Kenzio, you know he's gonna see something broken.
He's gonna see some stupid ass shit. Probably gonna see like a Lisalot or a Saria or some shit.
Ooh, yeah, Lisalot is a very strong card.
There's a
Okay,
reason
let's
why it was
see. Ooh,
banned.
I can see. I can. Ooh, I
we
can
tell?
see.
Wait.
I can see the Sanctitude being added to end and the reindeer being called.
Choosing
Interesting.
to put Yuika to bottom deck. Very interesting.
Very interesting move indeed. I mean, I guess it's not as important technically because Kenzio's not looking. Well, Kenzio cannot do the right down play seeing as Chang is going first.
We see Kenzio though drive checking a Amelia. Very
Yes.
strong card into Grand Blue. And just overall nice card because when bounced back to hand, you can CB1, draw a card, and it does have the added benefit of having resist, stopping
Yeah.
a ton of Denial Griffin plays in the format currently.
Yeah, exactly. It's very useful into the mirror, for example, or into decks like Narukami, for example, or Chaos Breaker for that matter. You can see Chang riding Asha, choosing to call the crit that goes into Soul, choosing to stride immediately. So I'm guessing there's no good duplicating target in his hand, which
Unfortunately,
is quite unfortunate. Yeah.
but the duplication of the critical trigger is probably going to be coming in here, get a little bit more
Yeah.
plus to try to survive the first Highlander turn.
Yeah, getting a little bit of plus, but filtering the triggers out of his deck, which can be quite important in some situations.
It kind of does suck because the only things you can bot deck are normal units as well.
Yes, but with the
Starting off attacks though, just quick 14s, you know, with the
this is
force ones.
2016 actually because of the 2k given by Asha.
True. Making those magic numbers.
Yeah, magic numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm on Discord.
Yeah. Okay, we can see Kenzio thinking. Choosing to guard with Amelia. Ooh, but that's not enough.
I mean, guarding with Amelia is pretty fine here, at least.
Yeah, but no, but not enough in terms of actual shield.
Drawing 2, no guarding Vanguard, real simple. Crit, raw, easy,
Oh,
into stand peony. That's
Yeah.
really good seeing the stand peony for next turn, while also getting a lot more plus. Damaging Saria and Shizuku, though, on the Highlander side.
yes, that's quite big.
That's a lot of pressure down the drain for earlier stages of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The classic
can-
Ride Reindeer.
Right reindeer, classically.
Get a force. Highlander.
Depending on what it's choosing, going to Vanguard, a very classic move to just allow for some pressure. Especially seeing as
know-
Kenzio. Yeah, ooh. We can see
know
the Laura
Chang
being
doesn't
discarded.
have as many PGs in hand.
Yeah, because he hasn't had time to do Katrina, but we can see Kenzio discarding Laura quite realistically the best right target here, which is quite unfortunate.
It does suck, but we do know that there is a chance that he may have a card that can return it back, such as Vanessa. So
Yes.
the only issue is that Vanessa is once per game in a sense.
Yeah, in a sense it is, and seeing as Sistico is already in damage zone, this is quite a tough spot.
Your goal is to just do as much pressure as possible here into the Katrina player because they don't have the PGs guaranteed yet, and
Yeah.
they're low in hand from after that they're lower on the hand than they would be after a Katrina turn. So
yeah, and your goal is to push as much damage as possible, because once Katrina starts to stabilize, it's going to be way more tough. So you really want to take advantage of this pressure, because realistically, Katrina doesn't even need to have that many cards in hand at the beginning of the turn, since Katrina will just call 4 tokens and be done with it.
exactly. Just need some gradual damage pushing, you know?
Let's see. Kenzio only has 1 unit on board for now. Thinking about maybe calling more. Ooh, we see that grade 1.
Both denial combos in hand, that's actually going to be a really key part into living these Katrina turns, I feel.
Yeah, but it's also a very important thing that they get called, because that means Chang is now aware of their presence.
Exactly.
Which can lead to some play around. We can see just a 13, an 18, and then Eltrona attacking.
38, you know, really cool number. Oh, orange discard too.
And being discarded too, which means there's realistically only 4 good right targets left in deck. Only choosing to call 1 too. Interesting.
I mean, you want to keep those in hand and keep up hand
but we can no guard and Kenzio hitting a crit.
Oh, tier 1 and Lupina. Ooh.
And Lupina.
How many right targets are left in the deck at that point?
And we see Chang hitting no defensive triggers as expected at this point. Chang, Ultra going back to the G zone. Reindeer going for 20. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Sick draw.
Sick draw, truly.
Hitting triggers non-stop. Let's go.
Okay. So as we can see, Chang decided to guard with a 2-2 pass on this, and Kenzio chose to
Olivia discard
on the Olivia discard. So that means there's only
it's only a Nesca at this point.
Right target.
No?
Yeah, it's only a Nesca.
No, we're like talking about right target to kill yourself.
It makes the things more dynamic, I think.
You see, when there's a point in this game where it's like, oh shit, all the right targets are out, I'm gonna talk about it. This happens way too much to me. With not many right targets left in deck, I think I saw a Betty in there, a heal trigger.
Ooh.
Riding the heal trigger, Kenzio probably just wants to get more drive checks in here, but
Yes.
that does come with the downside of putting the heal trigger at the bottom of the deck at the end of turn, which can be detrimental into the Katrina turn.
Yes.
However, just having a lot more, one more card in hand and a little bit of pressure is kind of key when this many right targets are out of your deck.
Yeah, but also we can see that since Kenzio chose to ride into a grade 3 rather than a grade 2, Chang is allowed to G-guard for this attack.
That G-guard does a lot of things, you know, sets up another token for the turn after as well. Really strong.
Ooh.
Setting up the Lilga. This signals that Chang is probably going to be staying on the Asha, and then cloning that Lilga at the with the Stride effect.
Yes, that's right. Interesting. Ooh, we see Chang choosing to use Sanctitude this early.
I mean, with a hand with low shield value, what can you do?
Yeah, and since Chang's hand is going to refill with those little guys, I guess it does make sense.
Going to Chang's turn, choosing what to discard for Stride. The line is generally very simple, but you do need to decide what you want to discard. I would never shot Chang. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, doesn't touch his shield talk yet. He hasn't done any bad plays for now.
No, Kenzio's just a bad player. Damaged Sistico, damaged all his draw all his right targets, you know, shit player. What can I say? How did this man get to Worlds?
Did he even get to Worlds? I don't know, we've never seen him.
Honestly, yeah, true. Maybe it was all a ruse.
It was all a trap.
Okay, deciding to ditch the Asa for Stride. Very cool. This could signal a possible Megaloma play because Chang is at 5. However,
yes,
with it would be a little detrimental to the overall Highlander turn, I feel.
It would be detrimental, but also we can see that Kenzio has a 9. Oh no, we can see Chang going into Katrina still.
I mean, it's still a very strong move. You just activate this on Stride, get some PGs, you know. Here we see that PG call from earlier coming into play. Really cool. Loka, such an amazing card in this deck, especially with Katrina. CD1 bounce, crazy plays.
So from this, we can imagine that the Katrina calls will likely be on Liz instead of Lilga.
But definitely calling in a Largolv as well to grab that heal from earlier.
Definitely.
God, these lines are so thick, just like...
Just a 50k line.
Just 50k. Skull Dragon who? Yep, and...
Oh, well...
Man, fuck this guy.
That's just Kenzio, I guess.
You know what? Kenzio can be the sackiest motherfucker even if he draws every single right target, damages Sistico, I guess. You know, like
He's still gonna get that OT.
But Chang is going to try to recover, calling some Honolies, calling the Unlargo to grab that heal back.
I think I see an Elma too.
An Elma, you know,
you see two and gold.
Could be trying to grab another ride target or stride target from drop zone.
Oh, maybe potentially grabbing that Asha back to get into the Megalomaton next turn.
It is a bit of a desperate play, but you know, the desperate time is called out for desperate situations. Yeah. You know, I believe in Chang. He will simply hit OT back.
He will hit OT, I trust.
I believe.
Okay, this is quite a costly turn though in terms of soul.
Yeah, adding the Asha back, adding the heal back.
The heal down back, yep. And then an Elma, soul blasting one more.
Going through a lot of TB though.
Yes, but since they have their G-Guard that allows them to count-charge, whose name escapes me. Robertina, yes.
Triple try. No triple blank, man.
I've been seen.
This is a world of all time.
You walk in a fucking building.
Fucking mash, I swear to God.
That defensive OT, man.
That defensive OT just gives so much tempo to Kenzio.
Especially because they're playing Highlander as well. Highlander just naturally thriving.
One more turn and they can just win.
However, again, we need to know there's so many ride targets out of the deck. So Kenzio here will either need to figure out a way to put them back to deck, stuff like Betty, for example, or pivot to a second game plan with the deck itself.
That's true. What are these second game plans?
We know
I think we ought to mention in Kenzio's list that Kenzio does not run that one stride that calls 5 from G-Zone. The name escapes me.
Wait, unfortunate, because I think that stride does come up and it does win you games.
That stride would come up in this situation, for example. But we can still see that there's a Tirua stride in there, which
I think
does pretty much the same thing.
I think something that could happen here, though, that would actually be very impactful, is the riding on sheer. That would bounce the Honolies, the Enlargos back to hand, while letting you get that extra pressure. But we see the Tirua discard instead, sticking with the Highlander gameplay with Reindeer. What will Kenzio stride into?
I think you can see that he's hesitating. Ooh, he's choosing to go.
Going into the Heltrata anyways, I mean, it is a lot of pressure.
It is. It's multiple attacks too.
Revealing the Reindeer in hand, this is an interesting play. But the that Reindeer could turn into a Megiddo later down the line when you
it could.
Which can, you know, find you Pearl Sisters from your drop zone.
Yes. Charlie, can you tell people not to join?
You should tell Trey that he's a little bitch and I love him. I'm deafened, so I can't hear them anyway.
Yeah, I can hear them anyway. I think it's more for the play more.
I just hear the join call sound.
Yeah. Okay, so we can see Kenzio just forming a very classic field. Not much power though. These columns are just 13 and 23.
I mean, that's the Highlander issue. When you put all your force markers on Vanguard Circle because you want that extra pressure, you naturally will lose pressure on your rearguard columns.
Yeah, and since we can see that Laura is already out, the rearguard pressure is really non-existent at this point. Let's see.
But more Vanguard swings with more forces. Does suck because Chang did grab multiple PGs last turn with the Loga effect.
We can see Kenzio only choosing to call one card, which is set now.
Decked in another card. Grab the Reindeer.
Filtering the deck, you know, checking more triggers as usual. We see a PG and a
blank
triple blank. Okay. The triple blank is actually quite used because that means Sedna cannot hit, and this was his only opportunity to hit with a rearguard because now this is the fourth attack if I'm not mistaken, which means next attack Onon is active.
Man, fuck this guy. And those Honolies don't work though. Chang is naturally deciding what to guard with because, you know, 2 force markers is no joke with Twin Drive.
Yep.
And we see the critical trigger, strong player.
Being put on the rear guard.
We know the denial combo is in hand. And with the Pumo, that just pushes it. so you don't have to use a G guard. That's gonna be huge, very integral to this matchup. Now, let's see what this top 10 reveals us. Probably shit, as expected of Kenzio himself. He finds the last right target in deck. What the hell? Actual sack. Can you believe this, man?
I can't believe it. Actually, yes, I can. I fully can.
You know, I also can't believe it after that defensive OT. When will his luck stop running out?
Yep, and we can see that with that, Kenzio gets to have 2 more force markers that he can potentially put in on his Vanguard, because Chang, I think, has used all the PG in his hand, as far as we know. Yep, revealing top 10, they're all different. Wow, shockers.
Crazy. We would have never seen this coming.
Who would have guessed?
But that's extra force markers, you know. Put it on Van.
Yep.
We only know 3 PGs so far, so but we know one of them for sure isn't searched out. So there is the possibility that Chang could have the 4th PG in hand.
That's also the possibility that he could have to outguard this. This is a 53k attack.
I mean, Robertina is a 30k shield. Pretty strong.
He sure is.
We're probably going to see the bot deck 2 PGs in order to live a turn and countercharge. Yep. Classic. Will a second G guard into the second Robertina? Probably. That's probably why Chang was actually setting those 2 cards aside.
Yep. Second Robertina making his shield 73k, meaning this attack cannot go through. Trying to send back
2 stand peony, it looks like?
2 stand peonies.
Yeah, nope, 2 stand peonies. This is probably telling us that Chang is lower on those token makers in deck, trying to get them back to deck for the Katrina pressure. And drive checks the Pearl Sister grade 2. This could be a little dangerous now, because Chang does need to play around the Megiddo turn now, I feel.
Yes.
Because Kenzio has a chance to open for 2 damage, has the double Pearl Sister in rotation for the Megiddo turn.
But we can see that Chang also has Honorly in rotation, and as far as I know, I don't think Kenzio's deck has current charge left.
Yeah, Shizuku, the only one, is out of deck, so...
Yeah.
Choosing to stride into Megaloma.
This
keeps Chang alive for another turn. That is pretty strong. Going for a little bit of multi-attack pressure while we're at it. Might as well.
Yep.
This does put Chang susceptible to a crit, however, I will say. Because if you didn't know, when you hit a crit against Megaloma at 5, you take the 1 damage, reset, and then take another damage, putting you to 6 on the second on the reset.
And we can see Chang having a very classic battle formation. Just 4 attacks, 2 only on board.
Real simple.
Ooh.
Kumoing out probably that denial combo to bounce that either the Honolly. No, it doesn't bounce back row. Never mind. I am very smart.
It's only bouncing front row. So yep, bouncing the right fixer.
Guarding with a Pearl Sister.
Yep.
Wings Van. Chang, do it. Hit double crit.
Hit that OT.
OT.
I think that Kenzio still has the Sanctitude in his hand, as far as I know.
Possibly, but we're looking at I mean, Kenzio does have the Protect marker that he made last turn as well.
He also has that, yes. Choosing a discard target.
He also did see Kenzio putting both Force markers last turn from the Iniska and Vanguard circle. You know, naturally with less right targets, you're going to be putting, you know, markers on the Vanguard circle, but this also opens way to Tirua being a stronger stride target now.
Yes, but we can see that Kenzio did not choose to take any damage this turn.
With the Megaloma in play, it does make sense, and you can stride Tirua for pretty much free here, because Tirua, if I remember correctly, does not cost a CB.
I think she does.
Tirua cost a CB?
Oh no, she does not. Okay, so the road is open to Tirua.
Or Kenzio, I believe, is very low on deck.
Yes,
enough to the point where Kenzio can guarantee the Iniska ride.
1, 2, 3. About 13 cards in deck.
So that is just enough for Twin Drive into the reveal 10 cards into the Iniska at bottom of deck. With a turn like this with double Honolly on the board and a Megaloma, that is a possible action to go into.
It is. Trying to find as much crits as possible when...
But who knows? He could also just, you know, hit double crit on Tirua.
Yeah, and Chang could damage, reset, and check OT. Who knows? Ooh, the bet.
No, we're talking about striding Tirua. Top 7. We know that he does. He should still have right targets in hand. He should still have right targets on hand though, so this is
Yes.
really strong.
Being able to put back one to bottom deck.
Probably grabbing that Dandy for the G guard.
Yep. Leaving all the triggers in deck.
I have a feeling that the Ange from earlier was put back, allowing you to bounce back that denial combo as well, while also getting that extra
well,
multi-attack
no,
pressure.
because Ange costs CB.
The Ange does cost a CB.
I
I'm
think
that's
they're
stupid.
likely. Ooh, I can see. I think the Olivia was put back.
Olivia was discarded earlier with Lupina.
Oh, she was. Okay.
A little hard to see what's going to happen here, but it will be
Yeah.
interesting to see. Going 8 to rear guard.
Ooh,
Don't want to
the
stop
attack.
them. Inezka into draw. Unfortunately, we won't see the Inezka right target anymore.
Yep, you can see Chang.
Resets.
Same.
Will Chang have enough token makers for the Katrina turn, though? Especially with those that new draw PG that Kenzio just drove checked, because he is such a strong player. I say that lightly.
5 cards go down.
4 token
Okay.
makers is really...
I think it's only 3. I think it's. What is it? I can see.
Oh yeah,
two-
one of those Sloga.
Two
One of those-
peony, one sweet berry.
That's still a good amount of token makers that can be detrimental to this Katrina turn, making that fat board yet again. Columns are swinging for 60k this time with a second Cycloned up. Very close game overall. Is one of them attacking? Are you shitting me? Oh yeah,
no,
true.
the
We
zero
did see
is
3
probably
earlier.
best. We saw earlier he had 3.
Yeah,
No, just cut it.
just 2 regular big ass swings. Kenzio taking both, and now we're gonna see the multi attack with the plant tokens, setting up the right fixer as well. Just bashing face.
But to my knowledge, I think Kenzio still has that grade 1 Denial Griffin combo.
I don't think we've seen the Pumo, so it could happen.
No, we have seen the Pumo. The Pumo, I think the Pumo called the grade 2 last turn. So this would need a heal guard.
I mean, they did add the Sandy to hand, so
They
that's
did
one
have
cheaper
the Sandy, that's true. So we have a Denial Griffin combo pretty much guaranteed.
But what can you do but play into it?
Ooh,
Double PG line instead, that's still very solid. Getting you a little bit of defense to maybe survive a clapback turn. While
yeah,
also,
with that Asha, being able to call 2 tokens, we have pretty much a full board still. Yep. Delga token.
Loga, CB1, bounce back to hand. Love this PG so much. And then the Asha,
Then-
make 2 plant tokens, get 10k, making it a 23 beater with the force marker 33, very strong. And we're going to see
We
the
see
Stank 2
that.
come down.
Ooh,
Heal and
Yeah.
Honolly, leaving a possibility for the G-Guard Rain Breath call Honolly here as well.
Yeah.
From his deck list, Chang has used both Robertinas, but that one
No.
there's still a second Rain Breath available.
Yes, that's true.
Very tense moment, trying to figure out the guarding sequence properly. It's asking for a 33, that's like 50. I think this is like 63 at this point. Big numbers.
I think this is even more. This should be 68 with the trigger power.
I forgot to include the trigger.
Ooh.
A big number, regardless of triggers or not, but we're gonna see the... But it's gonna bounce one of the rear guards a hand, bouncing that grade 2. And they're gonna G-Guard into the Citron, probably calling back that grade 2 to bounce back the other rear guard.
Yep, that's correct. We can see the horticulture being bounced, and this being enough shield to guard the attack.
Stand and draw. Chang for sure does have 2 BGs and a little bit of extra cards at hand. They're all pretty much public at this point, however. So
Yes.
Kenzio should be playing around that.
Kenzio with 8 cards in deck.
Pretty low deck size, but there's still ways around this. Just a lot of time spent thinking in the tank, figuring out what lines of play to go into. How's your day been? You know, Kenzio's
Well,
taking
you know.
a bit of time, so you know I might as well lighten up.
It's been fine until I saw Kenzio. Like, oh my god.
My God, crazy! Like you saw
Then-
Kenzio? Like that's so real, man. Like
Yeah.
Like-
Incredible. Quite a miracle.
honestly, considering we didn't
maybe
see him
got through
at
it, but
single
then-
second at Worlds.
But then we saw Chang. Now
Oh.
the day's better. Now the day is way, way better.
Chang makes my day better.
Sure does. Still thinking.
I mean, it is a pretty perilous situation, so might as well. I've just been informed that Kenzio is deciding not to stride, which is still a very valid game plan, especially with 4 force markers on Vanguard Circle.
Yep, still allowing for two Vanguard attack, leaving that CB open too.
This little bitch is still deciding what to call, however it looks like.
Yep, just thinking and waiting. Ooh, we can see the Finessa being called.
Oh wait, Anessa being called, that means you can bot deck anything from drop zone. We can bot deck possibly that Tiroa for 3 Vanguard attacks with 4 force markers. Or maybe
Possibly
something different.
Olivia could be an option too.
With the Honolly in hand though and only 1 face up CV, it makes it a little awkward for you to go to the Olivia.
Okay, we can see a heal being called.
This is most likely the last turn anyways, so might as well call it.
Yeah.
Right targets could possibly be bot decked here. Going with the Excel marker. We love Excel markers here.
One of the markers of all time for sure. Just being guarded with 5k.
Easy guards. Real simple.
80. Being guarded with 10. Classic.
This is the make or break turn, honestly, so, you know, go all out. Defensive for Chang, though, finally. It only took 21 years.
Finally came.
Putting the Finesse of the Soul. Let's see what is being bot decked here. Deciding on possibly Laura on Lupina, Olivia, and Tiroa. Now, what do you think of an Ange reride here, Berg?
I think. Ooh, we can see the Tiroa.
Using the Tiroa, like I expected, you know, putting
Makes sense.
Force markers on Vanguard Circle, bouncing your board back to hand for a healthier hand.
Might as well go all out. And with the Ange rewrite would be potentially very strong to counter a potential only call. But I think Kenzio at this point just has to go all out and try to get as much offense as possible. You can see a heal being checked, healing the Cystico.
Not that it's gonna get anywhere. Actually, it could. Hey, you know, who knows? Hits the crit as well. I don't think it matters here since the ideal ride target is in fact the Tiroa that was bot deck.
Makes it unfortunate that Kenzio did not call a booster behind that Vanguard.
This does show us 1 trigger in the deck though, so if Chang feels lucky and wants to hit a heal or an OT, it's real easy to do so because it's only 1 damage.
And we can see Chang checking his deck size.
This is a big ass Tiroa though. Bouncing all those normal units back to hand, except for the Asha probably. Yeah, thought so. And getting an additional 15k and another force marker, equaling about 25k. So that's 38, 48, 58, 68, 78, 88 Vanguard swing. So I think you kind of just have to hope for an OT on one of the attacks at this point. Putting the force on rear. Interesting play.
Interesting.
Maybe this signifies the superior caller when discarded.
Maybe.
Check.
Ooh.
I mean, just better.
Just better. Just
better.
Strong.
Alright.
Simply.
Will Chang hit the OT? No.
Nope.
And that is game 1.
And
really overall, a really strong back and forth, even though
and
Kenzio...
a very strong show of Kenzio's sacking ability, for sure.
Really. Especially that defensive OT. And while they're setting up for game 2, let's talk about that game a little bit, Kirk. So what did you feel about that game overall?
On my side, I think that Chang encountered the problem of never truly being able to start the engines and get into the game and into the offense because of Kenzio sacking the defensive OT and then being forced into Egaloma.
Chang being forced into these awkward lines really screwed up the tempo of the Katrina deck, which is something that you do want to do, but is very unfortunate for Chang's side.
Most definitely, yes. We can see with Kenzio's consistent offense with Reindeer, once Katrina was forced into these weird corners, Reindeer just took the advantage and snowballed from here.
Yeah, I will say this really does show Kenzio's skill as a player, however, being able to adapt with all his right targets basically out of deck, with only one of them being the Inezka still in deck. Overall, very strong game. Perhaps this means that Kenzio is in the favorite for this game. I'm still rooting for my boy Chang.
Of course.
Vietnamese brother, we the Vietnamese together, and we just need to wait on the setup for the game 2. God, I can't wait for after this where I can go back and just like kiss Frenchie over here.
Okay, can we?
Okay, and we're gonna move on to the game. Riding into the Sweet Berry, losing out on that potential soul charge later down the line. And again,
Kenzio riding
Kenzio,
sister again.
Roll Sister yet again, you know,
Yep.
losing a little bit of that extra pressure.
Checking Tira already.
Yet again, drive checking all his ride targets. What a shit player. What can I say? And we see the Anelma here.
Okay,
Love me
my
drawing
goat.
cards. It on paper, Anelma doesn't read that good because all it really does draw a card and call a plant token. However, that drawing a card and making a plant token actually does a lot for Neo Nectar's overall gameplay in the grade 2 turns.
You can see Kenzio checking that defensive crit.
Drawing him a card, you know, it's so good.
So strong.
Man, one day Kenzio will stop sacking. Why? If me, Kenzio, and Suisei have the same birthday, why is he the luckiest of the three?
I think it's just the power. Maybe it's to make up for being Canadian, I think.
The
Riding the
themeful
great
ride.
ball sister, I guess.
Such a themeful ride. I enjoy looking at this after getting scrubbed out at Worlds by Double Sister. Oh,
Maybe this is a universal thing for Grand Blue players at this point.
this brings me immense joy. You're gonna see the Melty get that early game aggression while drawing a card. Into the Sistico. Melty, just, you know, CB1, calls a card from hand, draws a card. Really good for that early aggression. But it's gonna call down Sistico.
Ooh.
Moving both back. Pretty smart because that stops Chang from just swinging into that rear guard. Rear guards that you want to keep in hand.
Yeah, avoid being damage denied for the potential Eltroda turn too.
True. Gonna see the ride option. Going to the
Ride
history
option.
collection play, probably.
Yep.
Will
That's
Chang
coming.
have good copy targets for the straight up? Who am I kidding? I'm pretty sure I saw a flower carpet in there.
Yep, that is one of the best ones, for sure.
Making 2 imaginary gift force markers. Will Chang go force or force 1 or force 2 though?
That's an interesting question because both have their value. Ooh, we can see.
Choosing force 2, trying to speed up the gameplay, which is really important here into Neo Nectar specifically.
And especially
not
since
calling-
we no copy targets. Interestingly.
Choosing not to call anything is very interesting, but going force 2 here does give you that extra pressure while not being able to call anything.
Mm-hmm.
And with such
Because,
a big base
yeah.
Vanguard,
Yeah.
Kenzio is more incentivized to take the Vanguard.
Yeah, he is, because if not, Chang can just choose to. Ooh, we can see Kenzio using Heal Guardian.
I believe that's the 10k for 2 to pass. And this rear guard's unfortunately a little puny, but it is 3 damage. And I think
guessing from that attack, I think it was actually the -2 crit.
yeah, but Chang getting the crit, putting it on rear, forces Kenzio to either take 3 damage there, going to 4, or not have any damage for that Heltrada, which is super important
Very important.
for the overall gameplay of the deck. And we're gonna see what Kenzio is deciding on. With all those right targets in hand, though, I think I see a Lupina and a Tiro in there. Does it possibly mean that Kenzio doesn't have the reindeer, alleviating so much pressure off of Chang because that reindeer does so much for this matchup with multi-Vanguard swings and ride-up force markers? Actually, insane.
But Lupina is not a bad right target either, being able to produce 1 more force markers and calling 1 card from top 7 as far as I know.
That indeed it can. Soul Blast, its effect is Soul Blast 2, a little costly, but you do get to look at top 7, call a unit, and then get a force marker on top of that. So, I mean, it's just a Miffy Arc habitat.
Or is.
But this
Ooh,
makes
we
the
can see-
Heltrada a little weaker,
You can
because
see
first
Kenzio
off,
choosing. Right.
choosing the History Collection Stride to get that guaranteed on-hit effect. Just a little bit of pressure while you're stuck on the Lupina, unfortunately. But we're going to see a discard Olivia, discard Tiroa, which is fine because Kenzio does in fact have Sistico this time. So we're going to see the Sistico call, botting the Olivia, real nice. Stunning that plant token, which actually here does possibly matter because if Chang doesn't have enough plant token callers, that thing's stuck there.
Yep, being guarded.
We're going to see the 20k here. Actually, it could be 30. I forget if Sistico needs to bounce 2 or 3.
Oh, I think Sistico only needs 1 bouncing. Yes, it does.
That's a 30k attack right there.
That's a
Real
40K
strong.
attack. Yep. We can see both attack getting PG'd.
Or no, Reindeer. That's Reindeer for next turn is super good. We're going to bounce the Sistico and then call up to 1 card from hand and give it plus 2k.
Potentially the Sistico again.
big attack because of the plus 10k.
Yeah, the plus 10k and the plus 2k, which makes it a magic number. And being able to stand back that Tira too.
Kenzio's getting back to his feet now with the Sistico and the reindeer in hand.
Yep, sending back the Tira.
Stunning the token a second time, can't stand for 2 battle phases, trust.
And swinging for 42k.
Big as shit number.
But Chang decided choosing to stay low and guarding into Robertina, sending back both Lilga.
Both Lukas, that's actually a super strong play though. Like keeping the
opening that CP too.
And getting a heal in drop zone so you can use an Largo effect as well.
That's right.
Classic. Strike Katrina. Live life good. Make plant token.
Make plant token.
Katrina, why did this card come off the ban list? But I think Neonectar needed it. It's Neonectar's doing very strong now because Katrina's back.
Yep. All tokens being called.
Calling over the rested token because it was stunned.
And we can see an Enlargo
grabbing a heal, making it so that you don't have to call the Enlargo later and instead calling a plant token. And Largo was actually an addition in DBT 13, a very strong addition for both Katrina and Grand Blue, giving that greed shade effect, not costing a card from hand for your stride turns, giving you an extra card in hand, which notably can add back Heal Guardians because Heal Guardians are grade 3. Going with that 40k 2 crit, we love Force 2.
40k Force 2.
Forcing a lot of damage here.
You can see that Guardian Shield with double incept for the 40k guard.
And taking the second one, of course, because it's 1 damage. Yep. We're going to see the PGs coming out, help us protect us from the reindeer that is coming up next turn.
Yep, the flower carpet which will be able to get back.
Unfortunately, we don't have the second CB to call out a Asha to get 2 more plant tokens and big swings. But instead, we'll call a Hanley.
Ooh, so what I'm guessing Chang is choosing to do is just make 1 big column and swing.
Bouncing those 2 PGs, calling the plant tokens with that Hanley column, making it so that you can still attack with the Hanley after the Vanguard here. And Kenzio is going to choose to no guard with the Force 2. That's 3 damage with the crit power. Can he hit the second crit? No,
nope,
unfortunately not. But that is such a big tempo swing, pushing the Highlander player to 5 and damaging key pieces such as Liselot and the Justine, yeah.
It also means that even if Kenzio heals down to 4, every swing will potentially still be lethal.
That Force 2 pushed a ton of favor into Chang's favor.
And Kenzio still has to deal with that 1 plant token attack, having to drop a PG.
The more PGs out, the better. And we're going to see the pivot to the Reindeer Ride as expected, getting those extra force markers and rerides. This is where the turn starts getting scary, because there's still actually quite a few ride targets still in deck, especially with the Sistico in hand. You could pot decking your ride targets.
Yep, realistically, there is still 5 potential ride targets in deck.
Ooh, we're going to see the Betty, very strong card, allowing to top 7, filter out some cards. We see the Sandy here getting that free G-Guard out of a normal unit. And Decklist, which is prime discard fodder here at this point. We see Laura and Inesca still in deck,
and we see the OT still in deck.
Knowing Kenzio, he'll hit it this turn, like Saki is. Adding the Clasina, probably for discard fodder at this point, which is pretty much needed because of the Vanguard's effect to discard 3. Clasina's pretty much only useful on the grade 2 turn, so. And we're just gonna start swinging, you know? Chang being a much higher, lower damage total, can easily just start taking some of these bigger swings like the Vanguard here, with no repercussion essentially, and save those PGs in hand for later turns where those attacks are going to be much bigger.
Yep, we can see Melty and Betty.
We see both denial combos are still in deck actually, so that gives a sign to Chang.
Ooh, but we can see Kenzio adding the grade 2.
Yep, but that just means Chang knows about it now. This card was actually recently added in Lyrical Booster Set 4, allowing them to bounce a card from the front row to hand from your opponent's board.
with stuff like Citron and Pumo, and that's both of them now in hand, plus the Amelia and Finesse. That's going to be
Huge.
pretty huge, but no triggers so far, and no confirmed heals in hand either, considering Kenzio ditched the heal for Stride here.
The reindeer coming out. Congrats to them.
Not a DI or Grand Blue Clan, but
Nope.
still coming out. But good for them.
Good for them.
Maybe this is Kenzio's path in life. Coming out.
Maybe. Grand Blue player soon.
Yeah.
Okay, we can see Kenzio swinging with a real fast, possibly anticipating a Laura top deck check.
That's the fourth attack. You don't want to waste CB on the Honolly. Wasting CB on a Honolly for a rearguard swing like this is pretty weak, so...
Yeah, definitely. But we see the Laura being drive checked.
Unfortunate, but not play aroundable, because you can just discard it. You still have the Sistico in hand, bot deck it later, Live life good.
Tico and the Vanessa that were checked.
True. We're gonna see the top 10. Will Kenzio hit something good? He's pulling out a lot of cards. I'm assuming that's a lot of good shit.
I think I saw Olivia and End being in that top 10.
There's a Tiro there too.
Oh yeah, that is. Which Tiro in this situation is quite strong.
Bouncing back that rearguard Honolly.
Yep, and your regards to bouncing the Betit, being able to call it again. And yep, we see he chooses to ride that Tiro.
Most likely gonna see it bounce the entire board to hand, giving 15k to Tiroa. And of course, getting an extra force marker. Highlander's greatest tactic, stacking forces. Just gonna casually swing big, live life.
Just 48, nothing much.
Yeah, nothing much. Just 48. Now, my question is, will Kenzio spend the extra CB and discard in order to restand the Vanguard for extra pressure? Hitting the heal trigger. Very huge, having the heal for the denial combo in hand. However, he is still at lethal numbers with those force markers on board.
Yep, and we see Kenzio choosing to restand, trying to hit one more damage.
Is it smart to do this though? Because this gives lines to Chang to G-guard and bot deck those PGs to call them back out next turn. And also gives him DCC, gives them a ton of extra resources that normally you would not have.
It does. But seeing Kenzio's position being at 4 damage and Chang only being at 2, I think at this point it's probably necessary for him to try to push.
Yeah, but Chang's just gonna keep up his tempo by bot decking those 2 PGs, getting the counter charge, and most likely guarding the rest of this attack to stay at 2 damage. Well,
taking the attack. Interesting.
I mean, that just gives you more CB to work with.
Yep, definitely.
Get a more aggressive turn, get out the 2 PGs from deck as well. We're gonna see the Osher rewrite making all 3 columns lethal now.
Yep, and just as we said before, even with Kenzio healing down to 4, every attack is lethal.
Asha, choosing not to activate Asha's on-place effect to make tokens because, Katrina's just going to make a full board anyways.
Yep. Just a full board hitting for 50k each, double crit.
And we're going to remove a Honolly, make the next turn a little more hard for Kenzio. But he does have 3 force markers on the Vanguard circle. This is going to swing for 50k, big columns with force 2, goes hard. And how will Kenzio react to this? What would you do in this scenario if you were the Katrina player?
Being the Katrina player here, we know Kenzio has that potential Denial Griffin play. So what we know is that Kenzio has to guard the first 2 attack because doing the Denial Griffin on these isn't really the most effective way of dealing with them. And then after that, I'd likely just call the little guys and some potentially Endlar Golf to make a strong board and advantage.
Yeah, that is actually a really interesting take. For me, I think it's actually considerable because there's only 4 tokens on board to try to bounce that front row token, unless you can't bounce tokens if I am misremembering.
No, I believe you can.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. It would be very, very huge for Kenzio to bounce one with Barry only, with Chang only being able to call 3 with Katrina's skill.
Exactly. Calling only 3 is very huge for Reindeer's side because that means you have to choose between calling Logas or calling extra pressure units. Yep, here we're going to see Citron most likely calling into that Denial combo card. One of the 2 he has in hand. So
Yep.
Bouncing that back to hand, which then dissipates because, you know, plant tokens can't exist in hand.
And we see also Kenzio getting an interceptor, so not losing any value out of this move.
Yep. And on Vanguard swing, we're just gonna search those two logos, try to live another Vanguard turn, and the Anoma.
Yep. That way both of these hit.
Yeah, that makes actually that's a strong column. Yeah.
That is a strong column.
Super strong lines. Well, I wouldn't say super strong, but just enough to make it a little annoying.
Still threatening. Yep.
Of course, PGs bouncing themselves back to hand. And then Anoma is most likely going to be calling a plant token to the other side, while also drawing Chang a card.
I think here we see Chang with his placement playing around a potential second Griffin play to still be able to call to get carpet back at the end of the turn.
Yep. How is Kenzio going to respond to this Vanguard swing? That's only 27k, but still big enough to force some guard out because of triple drives.
Yep. Okay, we see Kenzio using a perfect gun.
That's 2 perfect guards out. Super strong for the Katrina player.
Discarding the Honorly. Okay, we see a heal go coming out. And we see that Pumo calling.
Yep, Pumo doing that second denial combo, which gets the Anoma back to hand, which is really nice here, while also keeping tokens up on the board for the Flower Carpet to add back to hand.
Yeah,
like you said
it also opens up the play of using Rain Breath to just call that Anelma during the opponent's turn, drawing a card.
This plant token is still going to be asking for more shield, because Pumo's only 10k shield, of course.
Yep, this plant token, as far as I calculated, is 35k.
Yep, and with Kenzio with 2 cards in hand, this is going to be asking for basically the rest of his hand, essentially.
Yep, 28.
Because of the... Yep,
and that is enough.
Yep. So, I believe that should be Sistico as the last card in his hand.
I believe it's either this or Betty, as far as I know.
Which, this gives Chang so much advantage, because now Kenzio has to kill in this one turn, and with Chang adding back those 2 PGs, certainly easily livable.
The Betty getting cold.
This is the awkward scenario to pick what to add. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of okay targets that you could add here,
but not really anything too great. I mean, we see that none of them really hit any numbers, as far as I know.
At best, you just want to try to end the game here.
Yeah.
So you need some beaters, you need some boosters, but none of those can really do that without an extra card in hand.
Exactly.
Saria needs an extra card in hand to discard, but you unfortunately need to put it back. The
Great Researcher needs a card in the same column, yeah.
So at best, you can grab Sedna and use it as a booster for Vanguard Circle. But we see picking up Anj instead, using as a 13k attacker on Rear Circle, I believe.
Yeah, and sacrificing a potential right target, which does make sense, seeing as Anj is the least offensive one in that situation.
Considering that you cannot get to 4 normals on Rear Circle, this is actually a very, like, this does work pretty well.
Yep, we see Kenzio just attacking.
Yep, just attack, try to end the game here, because you know the game's going to end the turn after. Going to see the heal trigger, because Kenzio, that does make it so that you can take 1 rear guard. However, I don't think it's going to be enough.
I don't think it's enough, especially considering it's just discarding it for the ranger skill.
The Nezca Ride being taken out of deck too, making it so that it's a Nezca rather than something that you would want, like Laura. But we see Kenzio hitting the Olivia here, getting that multi-attack off.
Multi-attack and the potential crit pressure.
That is a crit on Vanguard swing, which will most likely just be PG'd.
Yep, considering that Chang still has 1 low gun and still has a heal that we know of.
Getting the force marker, most likely putting on Rear Circle to play around defensives. Yep, there we go.
This 46k column.
Pretty decent attacks here, asking for 25k shield. Something that, with both Robertinas out of deck, I believe, is a little hard to accomplish. But we see the defensive, making guarding this turn infinitely easier, considering everything has turned into small shields.
Yep, because apart from the Vanguard, the attacks are only a 5k shield and a 15k shield.
Yep, we're going to see the PG to guard the crit Vanguard swing. and all of these should be pretty small, and you can take one of them still easily because you're at 4 damage. Yep, we're going to see the take there, and then a 15k. Oh, actually, going into a G-Guard here. Going to
Vanguard calling the Anelma, I assume. Yep,
drawing you a card, making that next turn much stronger as well. And we move it on to Chang's turn with 1 card in hand from Kenzio. I don't think he can live this turn unless he hits a defensive OT, which, knowing him, there's a 50-50 chance that it does happen.
Well, 75.
True. Chang's going to discard the Asha. Will he play around the fact that there's a possible defensive OT? I think going into Megaloma here is actually very strong.
I think it's very strong too.
You're most likely going to be killing here, and it gives you a turn after the defensive OT.
Yep, which is just a simple bot state. Attacking. Kenzio no guarding.
Hits the crit, forcing the 3rd damage. We will see now.
Ooh, yep.
No, maybe it's just 100% at this point.
Yeah, you know what? I mean,
this is what, like, the second time it's first damage OT ending turns?
Yep.
But Chang did play around it, setting up the Megaloma to stop his turn.
They play around it, he had to deplete Kenzio's offense by attacking the rear guard. So all things considered, I still think Chang is in a very favorable position.
As long as Kenzio doesn't hit a crit on Vanguard Circle. Like,
yep.
Still, overall, a very strong position because of the Megaloma. And is Kenzio going to decide to stride at this point? I feel like you still have a good amount of ride targets in deck. And
yeah.
So maybe just
I can see Kenzio choosing to go into Tirua just in order to pass down the potential crits being checked.
You see, for me, because the Olivia is still at the bottom of the deck, you could consider calling those 2 rear guards, and you have enough cards in deck to where you will hit the Olivia, making Olivia a 2 crit attack on the swing, because you have 3 rear guards, which does force a lot out of Chang's hand, because Chang
is Kenzio not deciding to try.
Choosing to just swing with Van, and Chang just has to pray. No crit seen.
No
crits are seen. Resetting damage zone, putting those triggers from that was just checked now back in the deck, making it a lot more lethal for this next turn.
Yep, and Chang still has access to 1 Katrina, so...
Yeah, and Kenzio's fresh out of OTs, unless, he's cheating, so...
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Surprise! Second OT.
Ooh, we see Barry damaging quite a bit.
Barry, excuse me, I'm casting with you.
Okay, and... I knew you abandoned this.
No kisses for you later tonight.
Damn. Fuck. Okay, we just see the Katrina.
Yeah. And Kenzio's good up there because his hand is kind of dog, but...
Yep. And I guess we move on to the 3rd game.
A very, very even game until that crit on the Vanguard swing, shifting tempo all into Chang's favor. At that point, I believe Chang just took control of the entire state of the game with those Logas and everything.
Yeah, and definitely. And I also think that defensive crit last turn on the Olivia turn was also pretty huge, considering that Chang's hand, even with all the defense, wasn't that big. So the Olivia could have potentially been a lot more impacting, but that defensive trigger just made it all way more easy.
That defensive trigger actually, I believe, allowed Chang to keep 2 cards in hand. 3 actually, for the Megaloma, which let him play around that defensive OT. Very, very strong overall. While I did shit on Kenzio for hitting OT again, the deck of size was very low, so it was a very good chance that it was going to be hit eventually. So overall, very strong plays from both players. Kenzio, unfortunately, having to ride Lupina did cost them a turn, which resulted in just 10 push-ups.
Yeah, especially going second. That turn loss was definitely very impacting.
But we will move on to game 3 shortly after both players have set up and see who will take the first win
of this SCG in-house top 4. So Perry, tell me, as a fellow Highlander player, what are your thoughts on Kenzio's plays overall?
Looking to sell Highlander. I don't want to be related. But no, his plays overall are actually very strong and very thoughtful, playing around certain aspects that could end up happening and playing towards as much advantage as possible, maximizing chances of hitting a ride target and figuring out which ride targets you want to hit. It's actually very impactful and very nice when you think about how much is in your deck and then go for this ride target, I want to hit that. It's going to be guaranteed in my deck, which Kenzio has done both of these games now.
I also think that Kenzio's plays in general have been very conservative in terms of using resources and calling cards from hand.
Considering that Q-Tire isn't here anymore, RIP my goat, it does make it so that, you do have to be a little more conservative.
And since we're back for game 3, we see Kenzio going first, using the right fixer.
Seeing a Sistico and Pearl Sister here.
Yep.
Don't give me flashbacks. Don't pick up the Pearl Sister, please, Kenzio. Please, I am begging.
Fixer, pick Pearl Sister, right Lucina.
I swear, if I see a Glacina into Pearl Sister, or if I see a Saria, I'm going to lose it. I don't want to talk, like... Oh, I get shudders from remembering of that top 8, and right fixer for Pearl Sister, right fixer for Pearl Sister. And rides the Pearl Sister yet again.
Yep.
This is what, the third game now? This is the third game.
This is the third game.
Has been written.
At this point, this is more of a ride line than anything. Yep, and we see Chang riding the carpet. Ooh. Yep, ooh, drive checking the Anelma.
Damaging Honolly, making that offensive turn a little weaker. Gonna see the Glacina yet again. How skilled is he? He has seen Glacina both the first and third game now.
Yep.
That strong Vanguard Circle effect coming into play, letting him +2. And Tirana, anybody? And Tirana's a +3. Oh.
She's not one of these peasants.
Yeah, only +2. Putting...
Ooh,
calling the heal.
Getting
the heal does add on to pressure, and you can in fact bounce it back with Heltrada later down the line.
Yeah,
so this does incentivize Chang to swing into that rear guard or not, pushing it back.
Pushing back.
So many Highlander players will be stupid and swing, keep it in front row, you know, me included.
Sandy getting checked, even more heals.
More heals, more G guards, more denial combos.
Yippee.
And here we finally see the Flower Carpet and Nelma interact combo. Riding Flower Carpet allows you to make a plant token. A Nelma draws you card, makes a token. End of turn, sack those 2 tokens you made, get that Flower Carpet back to hand. That's plussing out the wazoo.
Ooh, we see Onoli already.
Removing Honolly already is very interesting. Stops the multi-attack on the reindeer turn, but also just removing that one Honolly you have access to is really rough. Just 15k magic numbers.
Yep.
Damaging a Nezca. That is going to be huge for this Kenzio going first, because Kenzio can no longer hit that Inezca, getting him so much tempo that...
Yeah, exactly, especially in that situation where Kenzio is restricted in his movements by the Onoli and only having 1 damage. The Inezca being rode here would have been really huge for the game, but I guess he'll just have to make do.
And another huge thing, that Flower Carpet, because it sacks 2 plant tokens, you sack that front row token, which means Kenzio has to swing into Vanguard now. There's no rear guard shenanigans for damage deny. And we're going to see Kenzio just...
not to ride.
Is this another game where Kenzio is a bad player and didn't see the reindeer?
I mean, I'd assume so, seeing the grade 1 here, that would have made him able to ride down.
But we do see Yuika placed behind the heel. That grade 1 is really nice here, specifically because Yuika can then bounce back the heel trigger he called earlier. Chang is going to hit the heel trigger.
Making this attack only a 10k guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which can be easily guarded with that Flower Carpet that constantly adds itself back to hand.
Definitely. Yep, just seeing 1 Asha being rode.
Probably just going to see the Asha stride up. Most likely going Force 2 again, because Kenzio is at 2, forcing more lethal numbers, and we just need to see what is going to happen now. With 10 cards in hand, Kenzio is in a safe position. But
yeah, we still have a very few amount of end.
But how long will that last?
Ooh, we can see the little guy being cold.
Bouncing it back most likely off the stride skill.
Yep.
Really good overall, getting that extra PG for the reindeer turn.
I think we saw an Enlogov in Chang's hand, meaning that he can already bounce that heal that he healed earlier.
Yet again, going for Force 2, like we expected, shifting, making it so that tempo and goes into Chang's favor if Kenzio takes even 1 attack. And while Kenzio does have the heal trigger in hand, is that enough? Who knows? The PGs, we can see getting bounced, ready for that next turn. And
Enlogov being cold.
Yep, getting that heal trigger.
However, that Enlogov is only 13k.
That's a sick intercept.
Ooh, but we can see a token being made.
Yep, these attacks may be weak, but they will be enough to force at least 10k guard. And this Vanguard is actually much more threatening because of the base 15 plus 15k from the strike itself. This is most likely just going to be forcing out the heal guardian that he bounced back to hand, Kenzio, and will he choose the +10 or the -2? Because +10 does put him to 35, and with an intercept, that's 2 to pass. But -2 makes it much more safer here at the fingers.
Ooh,
Choosing to no guard.
In the draw, making this stack strong. Ooh, and the crits. Ooh,
This just pushes to 5. There is argument to... I think Chang is putting the crit to rearguard, making both rearguards then crit lethal now.
yes, and both swing for 23.
And both are now... Because both are swinging for crit lethal, this also means that... this also means that Kenzio has to work with less damage now.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna see
the analog of being called.
probably adding back to stand PAD for the 3rd force marker next turn, making everything infinitely more lethal as long as Kenzio doesn't hit a heal. Both are asking for 15k shield, something...
Well, 15 and I'd say 20 actually.
Yeah.
Because the second one is 28, and actually it could have been 30 even if Chang put the crit on this plant token and chose to overcall and Largolf. That and Largolf would have been 15, making it a 30k attack. So you see Kenzio managing to guard this.
But he's still stuck at 4 against Force 2 with Katrina with Force 2, which is a perfect position you want to be in, especially with those 2 PGs in hand, for sure. And Kenzio is now on the write-up. Riding up Tiroa. Yet again, he is a bad player. He has not seen the reindeer. But we will see how he pivots from this position and manages to play around it.
Choosing to go Force 1 is interesting, I'd say.
I mean, Force 1 is pretty necessary here because you are playing Highlander. You do want those reindeer, want to be able to pivot to reindeer later down the line. And just riding Tiroa also isn't bad here because you can go into the Heltrata while bouncing rear guards. And you keep the power after the stride goes off.
But I don't think here Kenzio is choosing to bounce yet. At least it hasn't. Oh, he is actually.
Choosing to bounce just stand Peony is very interesting.
Very interesting, yes.
Yes, you just don't want the draws off the Enlar goal for the stride. Yet I don't think that does matter much. There's also the possibility of him not wanting them back in the hand so that you can guard with them and then G-guard put them back for the turn after. With both Enlargolfs, you know that Chang is most likely not going to be able to recur them heal triggers.
Well, technically he can, because as far as I know, I think Robertina also sends from field back to the bottom deck.
Well, Robertina is a really good G-guard, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Same can name from rear guard or drop, so yeah, Stan can... Ooh, okay, we see... Okay, so Kenzio is sending back 3 cards, getting that plus 15k to Tiroa.
This makes the Heltrata much more lethal, because when Heltrata goes back down into Tiroa, Tiroa will still keep that plus 15k, making it a much more lethal Vanguard swing.
Yes, making both Vanguard attack being 38.
And we're going to see the Laura call just try to get out of hand while trying to push damage.
Yep, and just one 5k guard, and then Heltrata
discarding 2 PG. That's a really dangerous position to be in, especially against Katrina with Force 2. Could he just be trying to end the game at this point? We do know he still has the heal in hand, so maybe he's trying to just keep up with the defensive combos. But we do see the heal come out, which lets Kenzio take 1 additional damage, 1 attack the next turn, which can make it so that his flow is a lot better.
Yep.
Goes back down to Tiroa, and it's very simple. Tiroa, swing Vanguard. Life is good.
Swing 48. Losing to G-guard.
Yep, probably Robertina. Putting back either both PGs or the Enlargolf. In this case, choosing the Enlargolf because, you know, you want to be able to curve them heals. This and then guarding it, so it's no pass.
53. No, this is... 53...
Critical trick. See, putting it on Vanguard Circle does make it a lot more work and force the PG out of the hand. And we see that's what Kenzio is going to decide to do. So Vanguard's not swinging 48k with a crit, which will be forcing out that second PG or a G-guard plus extra cards out of hand.
Yep, we just see Kenzio swinging, 1 grind.
The other rear guard is 24, so real easy to guard at this point.
We also see Chang's massive hand.
Yep, and it looks like Chang is just going to commit to the PG.
Yep. Ooh,
Which
and
means
Kenzio
they're-
finally finding that
There are
range.
2 PGs in drop zone now, which means Chang can't easily recur those PGs later.
But we see him not doing Robertina, just choosing to guard with the Guardian Shield.
But we can see Chang writing Stampini, making those plant tokens, setting up the Katrina board much easier, and also setting up that extra Force 2 marker to push for lethal. Discarding Stampini, most likely not for a Megaloma, but for Katrina, because, you know, Katrina is a very fun stride. And Katrina calling, again, 2 plant tokens.
Yep. On Cyclone face up.
And with Force 2, these numbers are big and they're hitting for 2 damage.
Just a casual 40k to crits.
Yeah, just casually.
Nothing much.
Nothing much. You know, just at least 2 15Ks from hand.
Yeah, nothing much.
Most likely, calls are going to be an Enlargo for sure. That's why Chang bot decked them, grabbing the seal triggers back. Maybe might see an Asha or a Ride Fixer here as well.
We might see an Asha, yes.
But for sure, we're going to be making a lot of tokens this turn. Choosing to take the first attack, no defensives, and damaging
No
Kumo too.
defensives.
Kumo being such a key part in those defensive combos that you can possibly hit, it is going to be really hard to play around, play with. Going to see the G Guard now with the Sandy, because Sandy can be discarded for G Guardians. Going to the Citron, what would you call off of this?
Good question. Ooh, we see Kenzio calling the Betty.
Might just be fishing for PGs and heals here with the Betty. And we do see a PG come up.
Which Betty makes the most sense here, because I think we saw the Only being damaged, so Kenzio doesn't have access to that, and in this position, the Denial Griffin combo wouldn't make much sense, seeing as Chang has a full board of token.
Yeah, but adding the PG lets you guard an extra attack at the very least.
Then we have Chang's attack, most likely calling the Ride Fixer, an Largo, and some token generator.
Yeah. Starting with the Sistico, making it a lot more dangerous for those cards that you want and drop that are in drop zone to go back to deck. But you do have Betty to supplement that at the very least. Choosing Lorgol v Asha. So looks like we're just going for the classic lanes.
Ooh, 2 Only.
2 Hanali does do a lot, especially when Kenzio is only at 2 face-up damage and is most likely going to have to bounce rear guards to hand.
Yeah, we see Chang here choosing a much more safe path than what was expected.
But with such tempo in your favor, because Kenzio's at 5, safe is really good here.
Yep, we see the Enlargo.
Grabbing back that heal trigger, and then Katrina most likely making tokens over both in Largolv and the Asha. It does suck because one of those columns can't swing because of Hanali's effect, but it does keep you safe for goodness.
Yeah, and it means that Kenzio's, if Kenzio chooses to do a Denial Griffin play, that play is way less impactful.
And with such low cards in hand, he's most likely forced to use the PG he added this turn on this attack, and then guard the rear attack, which keeps him compromised with such low cards in hand.
Yeah. Ooh,
We're gonna see the Sanctitude, which means we do know that he still has the second PG in hand, right?
Yeah.
Putting it all to a rear guard here, making that much harder to guard.
But we know that Kenzio already has a PG, which means that, we see Kenzio G-guarding.
Yeah, most bouncing that rear guard back to hand in order to make
Gain 15k shield.
Yep, just a big shield. But that does put you your CB lower, so that can't play around Hanali as well. Yep, rerides Reindeer, finally finding it. With 2 Hanalis on board, most likely you should be just putting on Vanguard Circle and going for as many Vanguard attacks as you can.
We see that Kenzio has 5 cards in hand currently, choosing to stride into most likely have Troda.
This is really good for Kenzio, actually, because we know that Chang has both 2 Logos in drop zone guaranteed. So the chances of having more PGs are lower. But being at 2 damage means Chang can easily start taking Vanguard swings with no repercussion, so we will simply have to see.
Kenzio calling Betty, not finding any. We see a Justin being in that top 7. Kenzio choosing to add the Pulse Sister. but we know that one of them was already redone as the grade 1. Interesting choice, especially when that Justin was in the top 7, which would have been a really good adding target. Yep, Kenzio just swinging for 22, this being easily guarded by Carpet.
Is Kenzio choosing to just call none? Which does make
I think it's
sense.
still, it would make sense. But I do think it's important to call one, seeing as Kenzio needs to kill this turn.
Yep, calling back the Laura, not doing much for you, but you can pass triggers to it at the very least.
Yep.
Chang choosing to no, I believe no guard just now,
Yep.
because he's at lower damage.
Blank, and
Triple
blank.
blank, very good for Chang, keeping him still at that lower damage total, and no powers passed over to that Laura, meaning it's much easier to guard.
Most definitely. We just see
Easy
a
5k
single-
shield.
Yep.
And at this point, with Vanguard Swing, both Homilies are active, so we know that there's only going to be 2 more Vanguard Swings after this.
Yep. And with Tura already out and no CB open, the choices are very limited.
A Nezca out too, meaning that they can't get another Force marker, can't get Excels, more like,
Nesca, I think Lupina is out too, as far or is it Olivia?
I believe it is Olivia in that drop zone just
Okay.
now.
Yes, because Kenzio discarded earlier, I think.
We're gonna G-Guard here, looks like, into the Robertina, getting that big shield, putting back both PGs for the turn after as well. Robertina, such a huge G-Guard, countercharging, getting an additional plus 15k shield,
And we see
and
the
putting back your
OT to
resources.
pass.
Will Kenzio hit it this time?
58, yes, that is OT to pass.
This is a good situation too, even if Kenzio hits the OT. Chang is in a safe position because that OT rearguard won't be able to hit because Kenzio runs red OT. We're gonna see the crit come down, not that it's gonna hit, so pretty bad situation. We do see the Justine, however, turning into a booster for the second Vanguard swing at the very least.
Yep.
If this is your last ditch or die, you might as well Soul Blast the Reindeer. We see the Olivia not doing much, unfortunately, and Anj.
Yeah, but sadly none of these really do anything for Kenzio. I mean, actually, Olivia gets a crit.
Olivia
Which
only
is-
gets a crit if you stand 3 rear guards, actually.
Oh, okay.
So with Justine, that's only 2 rear guards. That's not gonna have a crit. I don't think you Soul Blast at this point because
No, I don't think so either.
I think you just try to swing Vanguard, hit some heals, and try to hit defensive OT turn after.
Yep. We see Kenzio not soul blasting.
Drive check hits the OT at such a bad time
That's very bad timing.
because they can't swing because of Honolly, and all you can really do is call a rear guard that won't do anything at this point in the game. Maybe the OT is making up for its previous defensives recently.
Choosing to show up at the worst timing is definitely a way to redeem itself.
Thank you, OT.
Thank you, team. Very cool. Yep, we see Chang just going into Katrina, making tokens.
Both logos are still in deck, so getting the safe plays while making sure that your opponent dies is just real good here.
Yep, we see a Peony making a token and just swinging.
Yep, not much
And both of them
Kenzio
being
can do with this
banished.
hand.
And there's not much he can do to come back either, seeing as both only skills are active.
This should just be game here with the with this turn. Kenzio looking at his options, going into the Citron, prop, calling the Betty, trying to fish for answers. We see a heal trigger that he can add to hand, and if there's another heal in hand, you could add the denial combo as well. But will that be enough is the question. Adding the heal trigger to hand, trying to fish for that defensive pressure.
Yep.
But will it be enough? Most likely not. Chang is just way too far ahead.
Yeah, and with such big columns still, even Bermuda's G Guardian cannot keep up, because this attack is still 38, meaning that Kenzio still has to put 5k to guard.
And forced to put the 15, unfortunately.
Yeah,
This is 50k, and that's game.
that's game.
What a comeback from Chang specifically after the first game loss. This really goes to show the power of French Katrina when it starts to stabilize. Getting those double PGs, getting the heals, and everything.
Yep, it really shows that once Katrina starts to stabilize, it really just shows its whole arsenal of tools. And it also shows that as strong as Reindeer's high roll is, its low roll is really just its downfall.
If you don't see the reindeer, then it just sucks. But like,
Yeah.
both of those games were decided by Kenzio not seeing the reindeer on the first write-up, and even though he saw it again later, it just didn't matter because tempo was swayed so much into Chang's favor, letting him stabilize and get those forced rear guards. Like, those games were decided when Kenzio didn't see his correct ride target, and Chang just had pushed him to 5-4 damage with those forced 2. You know, really strong decision making from Chang overall.
Really, yeah, the force 2 coming in clutch in these matchups.
And it is just super unfortunate that Kenzio didn't see the OT at the right time. I will say, Chang played that perfectly, beautifully even.
Very, very beautiful gameplay.
Just like him, for sure.
These have been great matches.
Really strong plays overall, and really good match. Finalizing the match, let's see where that takes us on the bracket for these two players. We can see Changu going up, fighting whoever wins the Peter versus BB game, and Kenzio unfortunately going to the losers bracket, but he still has another chance depending on who will lose the Peter versus BB game.
Definitely. We'll see what these exciting match can lead us to in terms of the finale.
Really strong matches from both players.
Really strong showcases.
Really excited to see what happens in future games as well. I predict Chang, he's going to take it there. You know, might go, for real.
I agree with you because Katrina is such a strong deck and with a very good pilot.
I will say, there is another contender for my vote. Peter PBE, a really strong player, and also debatably playing either Nova Grappler or Mega Colony, one of his two main clans. It could be very dangerous for Chang.
Exactly.
Well, I think that should be it for us. Once again, you can find me at Berrysore on Twitter.
You can find me at Gurgetsan to see me talk about Gold Paladin and Mold a bit.
That will be us signing off.
Alright, see ya.